Now, this is a very interesting conversation we're going to have here because when I was putting together some questions that I had, and Michelle and Cecilia were helping me think through what we might talk about and everything, one of the first things that came to my mind from Po-Ching Chen, here he is. Indeed. Now you're not so nervous, are you? See? Ha. Now, what came to my mind is a question that I think I've wanted to ask an awful lot of authors who work in horror. When you talk to us about how to write a horror story, the next question I have is, why write a horror story? And it's an interesting question at a time like this in so many societies where there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of difficulty, there's a lot of darkness. Many of our countries in this period of time are looking at difficult governmental situations, political situations, and it makes you think, what is the driver behind, what is the reason behind the impulse to write horror at such a time? Talk to me about this.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
I try. Okay. Hi, 各位好，我叫陈柏清。
Hi, I'm Chen Po-Ching.
我觉得这个问题就是其实也是我非常在乎的一件事。那我自己的理论是，越自由的国家才能够诞生越伟大的恐怖片。因为对我来说，我觉得一个集权的、一个不自由的国家，它的生活本身就是一种恐怖。所以你很难再去感受，如果生活在这样的国家的话，其实你很难再去感受电影里面的恐怖。那所以你如果能够喜欢一个恐怖片，你能够疯狂的喜欢它，其实需要门槛的。也就是说，不是随便任何一个人都可以爱上恐怖片的。热爱恐怖片的朋友们，你们有福了。
Okay, so my theory is that only free countries can have great horror movies and enjoy good horror, because in authoritarian countries, life is too much like a horror movie already, and it's difficult to feel and experience it from the screen then. So being able to passionately enjoy a horror movie is a privilege. So anyone that can love a horror movie, you're truly blessed.
在我成长的年代，就是台湾解严了，然后强人倒下了，就是政府尝试变得民主，政党转型，政治上的恐怖还要几年以后才会过去，这是我成长的年代。所以我生长在一个恐怖刚过去的年代，可是我发现恐怖的年代过去之后，我并不是就迎接了一个不恐怖的年代，我迎接的反而是一个遗忘的年代，就是我的政府可能试着不去尝试讲之前发生过的屠杀或者是白色恐怖，我的父母有意识的、无意识的遗忘了，就是不让孩子们知道这些东西。也就是对我来说，我觉得恐怖的相反并不是不恐怖，而是关于遗忘。
So I grew up in a time in Taiwan when martial law ended, so the era of horror ended, but what came afterwards, I noticed, was an era of forgetting. So the government purposefully, and also my parents and the society around me, they just purposefully forgot and never mentioned the slaughter and the horrible things that happened. So I think the opposite of horror is forgetting.
但也是在这段时期，就是80年代、90年代的时候，台湾引进了很多国外的恐怖片，包括德国、包括美国、包括英国、包括法国，包括很多的恐怖片。然后我从小就是看这些恐怖片长大的，我看过超多的经典，什么《半夜鬼上床》啊，什么13号星期五啊，什么《异形》啊，我看一大堆的丧尸片，对我来说，就是这些就是我小时候的童话。弗莱迪。就是半夜鬼上床的弗莱迪会在梦中杀人，然后13号星期五的杰森戴着曲棍球面具会随便砍人啊，那我就觉得整个世界都充满了这些妖魔鬼怪。这个世代的台湾的小孩是在恐怖之中长大，在恐怖片之中长大的。
So I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and there was a time when many horror movies were imported from the Western world into Taiwan. So I grew up watching Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Aliens and many zombie movies from Italy, Portugal, Germany, and such countries. So for me, these were kind of my fairy tales growing up. Hearing about Freddy Krueger killing people in their dreams, or people being split by axe murderers. So I feel like a lot from my generation grew up by being scared.
那在恐怖片里面有一套自己的规则，我觉得你们都知道，遵守规则就可以活下来。对我们来说，我们小时候学到的是什么？一，不要随便跟别人上床，因为你随便跟人上床，你就一定会死掉。第二，你不要搞同性恋，同性恋一定会死掉。再来，太美丽的啦啦队队长，太壮的篮球队、足球队队长一定会死掉。有色人种一定会死掉，随便听别人话，跟像我这样的大嘴巴一定会死掉。我这种规则我可以列出100万条。那看这些恐怖片对我来说，就是看人，就是看这些角色们违反我刚刚说的这些禁令，然后那时候死亡就会降临在他们的身上，斧头就会砍下来，异形就会从他们的身上喷出来。那时候对我们来说，这些我们观众会感到刺激，那种刺激不只是生理上的。还包括心理上的。对我而言，我觉得这些是有意义的，因为对我来说，我觉得恐怖片这件事情，是一种提醒，它提醒了观众，提醒了我们。虽然你会遗忘过程，可是你不能遗忘那个结果。就像是我生活的这个岛跟我所经历的政治一样，我们会遗忘中间发生什么，可是我们无法遗忘那个过程，所以要透过这个方式去提醒我们。为什么我们爱看恐怖片？为什么我们对恐怖感到饥渴？也许就是因为我们试图去感受真正的恐怖是什么。虽然我们已经遗忘了过程，可是我们想要知道到底真正的恐怖是什么。
So my theory is that there are some rules to horror. For the first one is don't go to bed just with anyone because slutty people die, and don't be gay because all the queers get killed, and the prettiest cheerleaders, the captains of the football and soccer and baseball and basketball clubs, they get killed, and don't be colored because colored people get killed. So also believing what random strangers tell you and just being very open also gets you killed. So rules like that, I can recount many, but so watching horror is watching people break these rules, and then death and punishment follows. So the axe drops and the alien pops out of your body. And I think that's because horror is kind of a reminder that if you forget the process, you forget the outcome. Just like for my island's history, we might have forgotten the process, but it's really important to remember the lessons and the outcome of it.
我跳一段，因为我怕我时间不够，我往下跳一段。好，那我想问你们，如果今天法兰克福书展这个场地出现了一个杀人魔，你们觉得在场的各位谁会死掉？
So I want everyone to think about this. If a villain from a horror movie appeared now here at the Frankfurt Book Fair, who would die first?
你们觉得你们谁会死？Who will die first?
We have one volunteer there.
OK， 你跑很慢呀。但我要跟大家讲，你们不用担心，因为第一个会死掉的 ，That's me.
But nobody needs to worry because I think the first person to die would be me.
因为我是一个 gay， 我嘴巴很坏，我穿的就是很俗艳，而且我可能是全场最漂亮的一个，所以很可能我就是会第一个死掉的。
Because I'm gay, I have a big mouth, I dress funny, and I'm also the prettiest here, so I think I would be the first to die.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love you. Thank you. 但我想要跟各位讲的就是，请你们不要怕，因为如果刚刚的规则都是真的，杀人魔第一个杀的就会是我。只要你们跟我做不一样的选择，我往楼上跑，你们就往楼下跑；我往外面冲，你们就往里面冲，你们就永远不会死。
But you don't need to be afraid, because if these rules that we just discovered are true, then the killer's going to run after me first. So whatever I do, you just need to do the opposite. If I run upstairs, you run downstairs. If I run outside, you stay inside. So you will stay safe that way.
这也是其实也是我的小说想要去做的，因为我想告诉大家说，也许就是像我们这样的一个失败者，像这样子，我们的一些可能容易被杀死的人，容易被遗忘的人，这些脆弱的人。可是如果我们有一天知道一些什么方法，也许我们可以真的活下来。我想要让在这个充满了疫情、充满了战争的世界里面，可以让这些人，也就是我们，活到最后。
So I think that is also the reason why I write horror, to kind of turn these rules around a bit, to have these losers and the flawed people like me have a chance to live.
为什么我们爱恐怖片？因为我们希望我们有一天受了伤，可是我们还可以活下来。
So the reason we love horror is that we hope for at some day that even if we get hurt, we can go on living, we can survive it.
我想让一切的诅咒都变成祝福。我想是恐怖片让我们更热爱这个世界。
I want to turn all curses into blessings, and it's horror that makes us love this world so much.
让我们一起活到最后。
That's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this is great. I have two thoughts on this. Number one, you must not die because you're the one who can write us out of trouble, you see. We need the author to survive and kill the monster in the novel, yes? Does he need to understand this? Does he get it?
他说他觉得很安全，因为你作为作者，你可以把书写成就是别人不死的样子。
I will protect you. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Thank you. It's a deal. Yeah.
I just know
Save the
two
author.
guys. I just know two guys named Porter. One is Harry Potter. Is you, Porter Anderson?
You see?
你们都是主角。
Don't put my name in that book. No. Journalists get eaten by monsters a lot. Yes.
He's just saying everyone is a protagonist, can be a protagonist.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. That's good. The other thought I had was we need you in the United States where democracy is under terrible pressure, you know? And suddenly I'm thinking, okay, we can't enjoy horror because our political system is in such a mess. We have a monster named Donald Trump, you know, and there are several other monsters with him. So it's a whole new way to think about democracy. The reason it must survive is so that we can all enjoy horror stories again. You see? This is perfect. We'll talk to Washington.
现在美国的政治情况是很乱的，所以他说一个保护这个民族的原因是让我们可以继续可以享受恐怖片。
All right.
Yeah. Yes. You're saving democracy, you see. This is good. This is good. One horror story at a time. It's great. No, this is fun. Thank you. This was really great. What a great answer. Much more than I expected when I asked the question, you see. You guys are good. This is impressive. You know? Now, I want Natalie to tell us about something that she calls taboo breaking in a love story, because I think it's going to tie in a little bit with what we were talking about in terms of feminist acceptance in the Taiwan market, which we're not so good at in our market either. We have a lot of trouble in my market. But talk to me about your work and how it relates to taboos and breaking them.
他就是现在问题是你介绍你的这些作品，然后怎么跟这些不能说能提到的东西。
很高兴可以在这里与大家分享我的写作与台湾文学。那在我的小说书写历程里，有两个截然不同的元素。第一个是我从小对台湾就有的好奇心，比如说当我还是高中生时，我就会到许多社会或政治运动的现场，甚至还会去关于制宪的研讨会。当然，我也会去看恐怖片，因此我非常热爱恐怖片。但我今天不讲这个。因此，对台湾的社会变化，我一直有一个自己的观察，或者说记忆资料库。
So I'm very happy to be here and share about my work today. Mainly there are two different influences to my writing. On the one hand is my interest in Taiwan and its politics and society from childhood on. So as a high school student, I would go to political and social events, and some even discussing legislature. And I've been observing Taiwan's social change from that time on. So I have built my own memory archive from it.
但另一方面哦，我也经历了可能完全跳脱台湾历史的生活。《爱的不久时》南特巴黎回忆录就是这个向度的总结。
On the other hand, I've also made experiences that are completely outside of like Taiwan, the Taiwanese sphere. This ephemeral love, Notes from Nantes and Paris, is a summary of this experience.
然而，即使在这个表面看起来最无涉政治的所谓爱情故事里，仍然有战争阴影，或说族群关系的主题。
But even in this superficially seen love story that should have nothing to do with politics, it's still influenced by war and conflicts between ethnic groups.
曾经有人问我说，《爱的不久时》里面触及的犹太人故事，是否因为觉得这可以对思考台湾历史带来启发？但是我回答，就算某地的历史与台湾毫无相关，我也一样有兴趣。我并不觉得任何研究与好奇心都必须被吸纳进对台湾的认识当中。
I was once asked whether the stories from ephemeral love that touched on Jewish people drew parallels to the Taiwanese history, but I'm interested in a history, in a story, even if it has nothing to do with Taiwan, because I don't think that all study and attention should be restricted to things that only have to do with Taiwan.
我认为我这一代的台湾作者已经不满足于再现台湾，我们正在一个新阶段，开始可以不问有没有利益或好处，就想要了解其他文化，而这也是基于赋予台湾国际社会成员性质的思考。当你是一个成员，你就不只要想到自己，也要了解与想到别人。
I think this new generation of Taiwanese authors is no longer satisfied with staying just on the topic of Taiwan. And in this time, we don't have to insist only having about our own benefits and our own, on our own benefits anymore, but we also want to understand other cultures. This also has to do with Taiwan stepping up to be a member of the international community, because as part of a community, you cannot only care about yourself anymore, you also have to understand the others.
因此，当我说到难民是我书写中的隐藏核心，就有部分可能是因为台湾是一个长期受到战争威胁的国家，且我特别注意儿童、妇女还有性少数人权的处境。我不希望他死哈，但也有一个部分就可能与台湾没有直接相关，纯粹是在更广泛的框架里思考关于流离失所。
So the reason I say that refugees are a hidden theme in my writing, part of that is because Taiwan itself has experienced this history of being over a long time threatened by war, and I care a lot about the women's rights and minorities and marginalized people. And but another part also has nothing directly to do with Taiwan. It's about displacement in general, and 你其实已经讲到哪了吗？
台湾民间，OK， 台湾民间竟然对香港与乌克兰的状态都出现了极大的认同与支援情感。我想这与我们是一个长期处于战争阴影下的国家应该不无关系。
So the reason why Taiwanese people have had so much empathy and sympathy for the struggles in Hong Kong and Ukraine recently has to do with our own history and experience with this threat of war.
事实上，收入在新意史中的43层楼，连难民2字都没有出现。那有人会问，意外出现的人是否是跨性别，是否是儿童性侵的受害者？这些都有可能。也都是我认为的隐形难民，而我之所以让人物保持模糊，原因在于我所关心的不是只是帮助难民，而是人有没有能力与超过知识掌握的对象产生关系。我认为这是更根本的问题。
So in this book of mine, Her Story of Sex, there's a short story called 43 Floors, and it does not even mention the words refugee. But I have been asked whether the stranger that appears outside the window is transgender or a victim of past sexual abuse, and all of these are possible, but I keep it vague on purpose because I don't want to just help refugees, but also think about whether we can in general form relationships with people that are just completely outside of the grasp of our knowledge.
另一个我想谈的是关于民主，它与永别书提出的记忆问题有很深的关系。我会说存在3种民主，分别是政治民主、社会民主以及性与性别的民主。政治民主是我们最熟悉的，比如选举权与言论自由等等。社会民主大致还包括了经济或生活民主，比如说反对学校或家庭使用威权等都算是。最后就是通常被当作新事物的 LGBTQ 等性少数与 Me Too 的权利争取运动。他们看上去像是相对新的东西，其实他们不但有历史。如果以性与性别民主定位它就不完全只是某个弱势族群的抗争，而是与重建整个社会的游戏规则有关。
Another thing I want to discuss is democracy. For me, there are 3 aspects to democracy. So one is political, one is social, and one is gender and sexual based. The political democracy is the one we're most familiar with. It has to do with elections and the freedom of speech. Social democracy has more to do with, is broader, and it has to do with authoritarianism in the family and schools. But the maybe newest and often treated as a new thing, this gender and sexual democracy has to do with LGBTQ rights and also the sexual minorities, Me Too movement, struggling for their rights. And these all seem like fairly new topics.
而我在看这3种民主时，我这边会讲得快一点哈，就是我认为3种民主不该有上下高低之分，因此不能将它们分别开来记忆，必须找到能把它们无时无刻交织起来的叙述。
But I don't think that there's a way to build a hierarchy between these 3 aspects, and we shouldn't treat them separately, but instead discuss them together intertwined.
在台湾，这同时也牵涉到世代差异。年轻世代比较有兴趣的，可能是社会与性别民主，但有可能失落了争取政治民主一代的记忆。
There's also a generational gap in Taiwan when discussing democracy. Maybe there's a forgetting in the younger generation of the struggles of the previous generations for this political democracy.
那或许有人会以为，在性与性别民主的运动里，不会有政治民主的理想或伦理丧失问题。那永别书比较特别的就是，把性与性别民主也可能会失足的那一面都揭露出来。
But some people think that this newer movement of gender and sexual democracy might not have the disillusionment and demoralization of the political movement. But I also want to show in my book, I'm Leaving, that this movement can also slip up and stumble.
小说里所以打破禁忌，出现了对乱伦与性侵犯的讨论，并且还与现今看似最没问题的女同志关系并存。我的目的并不在撤销任何政治运动的正当性，而是预示每种理想主义也都有它破灭的起源。
So the novel breaks with taboos, and it mentions incest and also sexual abuse, and mentions it together with the least problematic kind of lesbians. But I don't mention these and put them together to take away or cancel any movement, but only to show that any kind of idealism carries in itself the seeds to its destruction.
It's fantastic. Thank you for this explanation. It's really wonderful. It makes me assume, and I hope I'm right, that there's a point when we will look back at this conversation today, and thanks to the work of somebody like you, we will say, what were we talking about then? Why were we so concerned about these differences and these distances between us and these pressure points that we don't like in each other? Because surely I have to think that the fact we're talking more about these things and that they do seem new means that we're going to get past them. We're starting to deal with them.
现在它是新的东西，但是我们讨论它的意味就是说以后会变成正常的，不是新的。
I have one quick example. I can give you one quick example of this. I had an interview last night with the author who was here for Frankfurt called Mohsen Hamid, and his newest book is called The Last White Man. It's a very fine book. A lot of us are very excited about it. In the book, a white man wakes up one morning and he is a black man. And everybody around him has started turning black. And so pretty soon, almost everybody in a city, we don't know which city, is black. And there are no more white people versus black people. And all of a sudden, a great deal of the tension just disappears because everybody suddenly discovers in a very surprising way that they're all the same. So I think that eventually your kind of work and his kind of work will lead us all to more understanding of each other and take us past this question that's so upsetting about us now on so many levels that we're different. We're not, you know? Yeah, no. Good?
昨天在这儿讨论的一本书是一个，它叫《最后的白人》，它就是一个城市里面突然间那个。
其实了解。
Great. Now, lastly, we get to talk to Animo. Yeah. And I'm very, very impressed with your work.
Thank you.
What I have seen of it is so beautiful. Very wonderful. I've seen some of Love Letters, and it's beautifully rendered, and it means so. I know it means so much to you, and that makes it mean so much to us, which is interesting. We feel your engagement in the work. And I'd like you to one thing I should also do is congratulate you on being a double Ragazzi winner at Bologna. I have never known two people, I've never known one person who won 2 Ragazzi Awards. It's fantastic. Indeed. But beyond that, as soon as you start seeing some of this work, it's incredible. It begins to mean things to us that may be totally different from what it means to you, which is why the question that I hope to ask you, Animo, is about mountains and your relationship to mountains and what you feel about them. What is that? What is your connection with the beautiful mountains we see in your work?
Oh, 我喜欢爬山，然后我出去爬山的时候我喜欢树，那我看着树，但我是一个画图的人，但我不会去写生，但我会用我的眼睛盯着树写生，就是我用我的眼睛去把它画一遍。那回到家里面的时候，我会去画树，但我不会原原本本的把我看到的树画起来，而是就好像我重新咀嚼消化过，再产出一个不一样的树出来。
So I'm a painter. I draw the landscapes, but when I go to see the mountains, I also like climbing on the mountains. But I will not do the landscape painting right there. I will look at them with my eyes and paint them once with my eyes. And when I'm back home, I will put them on a paper, but in a different way from what I feel about them.
台湾有超过100多座3000公尺以上的高山，所以你在台湾很容易可以认识喜欢爬山的人，就像我一样。
So there are over 100 mountaintops in Taiwan that are above 3,000 meters. So there are many people who like mountain climbing in Taiwan, just like me.
I had no idea that it was such a mountainous country. That's fantastic. I think they're very beautiful too. And what's interesting is that you're an artist and a writer, and your ability to picture something with your visual artistry that you can then write about, I think is almost like a double gift, you know? A little bit like the author-illustrator in children. You're suddenly looking at somebody who can not only talk to you in words, but talk to you in pictures. And it's very powerful. Has this been the way you worked always from when you were very young?
我回家画树，就1颗2颗慢慢画。我不知道 他们最后变成什么样子，我甚至连想象都没有想象过。我只是喜欢树，画树，慢慢的我就画出了一片森林出来。那有一天，我才从这些森林里面，好像看到了一个故事，是我们现在看到的琴批这样的故事的一个前身，才这样子出来的。
So originally, I just like to draw trees. I draw one tree and then I draw another, and sometime I realized that I've drawn an entire forest, and from this forest, I feel that there's a story to tell, and this is how this book, Love Letters, appeared.
所以，我是画了很多图之后，才产生了故事，而有了文字。
So the story, the words only came out after I drew a lot of pictures.
最后，我有了情书这样子的语言形式去表达这个故事，在一开始就已经蛮确定了。但是到这本书快完成之前，我才决定用我的母语，也就是台语来书写。
So after I decided that there would be words in this work, it was not quite set yet. Only later did I decide to use my mother tongue, Taiwanese, to use it.
Right. And Taiwanese is not spoken so much now, yes?
它是一个有人说，在我这样子的世代，就是说。我死掉之前，也许台语就会消失。它是一个正在消失的语言。
It is disappearing right now, so some people say that it might be gone before he dies.
Wow, that fast. Yeah, I come from the deep south in the United States on an island, and there's a very special language there that is almost gone now. These small languages disappear. I know what that's like.
但是语言要被使用，它才是活着的。这意味着这世界上的任何一个语言都有可能会死掉，但是死掉的语言不代表它就消失殆尽了。只要你会知道，以后也许未来的人会知道，说曾经有有一封情书，用这个美丽的语言书写，爱慕着他。
So language is only alive when it's being used broadly, but that also means that any language can die. But after a language dies, doesn't mean that it disappears without a trace. So in the future, someone might find this and see that someone once used this beautiful language to write a love letter to you.
That's wonderful. I love this. I love this. Pei-Shan, where are you? Are you publishing him? This to me looks like graphic novel, you know, of the deepest kind, because the graphics came first, and then he found the words. Yeah, a great editor already. You see, she's running a business. Yeah. No, I think this is a form of graphic novel work, and I love the fact that it doesn't start with the words; it starts with the graphics. That's fascinating. That's why it's so beautiful to look at.
Okay, thank you.
No, congratulations. This is wonderful
thank
work. Gosh, this has been too good. I've actually run us over time because I enjoyed talking to these folks too much. But this is a wonderful experience, I think, for all of us. And I believe now that there is an hour of celebration coming up, yes, which is good. What I've left of you of the hour. And this has been a wonderful experience for me. Thank you for letting me talk to each of you and to learn more about your work. And I hope to do this again, perhaps when I'm in Taiwan, I hope next year, which would be great. I'd love to see you. And also to our friends we spoke to earlier, who gave us a sense for the market. This has been very good. So thank you for all of you for having me and letting me enjoy this with you. And I hope that the rest of you can stay. I, of course, have to get to another event because this is Frankfurt. But I want you to have a marvelous time here. I think there's music, yes, that's coming? And this is Animo's music, is it? Yeah. There's another talent coming out, you see. Graphic novel musical.
My own turn. It will be my own time.
Your own
time.
Time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you all for your attention and for being here with us tonight. And have a wonderful time in Frankfurt. We're very glad that you're here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.